Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing tonight? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to Boulder Talk Radio. It's been an interesting day. Last night was a very interesting evening. We had a lot of revelations, a lot of things to discuss, waiting patiently for things to happen, waiting patiently for the other shoe to drop. And of course, not like 20, 30 minutes after I stopped streaming did we get that shoe drop. We got a statement from Faith, which we'll be going through here in a minute. It's a short statement. It's riddled with what appears to be inaccuracies, lies. And then the question becomes, who prepared the statement? Is this a true statement? Or is this, in fact, just a hostage video? We don't know yet. You don't know. But I'm gonna give it my best detective work. I'm gonna go as much into Batman as I can to solve this mystery. And then we're gonna look at the response from the parents, because it's been a busy day. It's been a very, very, very busy day. And I, for one, am now just Hooboy, really, really interested to see just where the hell things go next, because we're into accusation territory. Now we are in very little coming back from this, right? As this escalates, as this continues to grow, it's only going to get worse, which is so very, very, very true. But before we do that, let me take a quick look at who is participating in the chat. Say hi to some of you guys who are here. We've got John Cornett saying the saga continues. That's right. A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far away, Naboo was under an attack. Beats by Dr. Phil saying, break him. Breaking. Phantom Organization just got psychologically broken by the Gunt retort. I heard something about that. I heard something about P.O. deciding that he had enough. I asked him for a comment before going live. I DM'd him on Discord asking him if it was true, if the rumors were true, that the Spurgy Norwegian was going to be, stopping what he was doing, what he was winning at, when he was ahead, when he was in the lead. He's quitting before his prime. And I've yet to hear back from him. I'm assuming he's probably asleep, and I don't blame him. Let's see here. Does PO have a case against the Gunt for psychological damage? I don't believe so. I don't believe shit posting is covered under mental health. But there it is. I think Axel will be happier, to be honest with you. All right, Garrick here, a longtime watcher, asks, what do I think of the Mulan controversy about the camp, about the Uyghur Muslim camp that's not too far away from where they filmed part of the movie, which is only described as a concentration camp? I think that's, I'm not shocked at all by that information. I think that's, I wasn't shocked by it. It's like, oh yeah, no, okay. Everyone's losing their mind over it. And it's like, well, Disney is going to they're not going to live this one down. We're talking about human rights violations versus the almighty dollar. And that movie, from my understanding, I haven't seen it yet, is not doing as well as they wanted to. So I'll have to wait and see. Dispatch Center here says late and gay. Yeah, that's true. I was late. I was a little bit late tonight. Was reading up stuff. Anthony here says the plot thickens. That's true, Anthony. Zeros to heroes. What's up, Josh? Euro says PO1. I don't know if PO1. I'm not too sure if PO1 or not. He quit. Gang, Matt Jarbo. That's right. If I'm going to start ripping off the Gunt, naming my listeners a certain name, I don't know if I'm going to call it. I don't know what I would call you, Boulderites, Boulder people. What do you identify as? Let me know in the comment section. Lexi, my main man, my awesome mod. Love Lexi. Great person. Let's see here. Why is Ethan badgering me over 2-year-old drama? Have I ever met him in person? I haven't. But he made a lot of money off of me, so that's why he wants to go back to the old days where he can make money off of me. The truth of the matter is, no, that's not going to happen. And I say this. I said this last night. I will say this again before we get into Faith's tape. Ethan has my cell phone number. My phone is in my pocket. He can call me right now. I'll put it on speakerphone. I'm gonna open it up to call-ins. You guys are gonna be able to call into the show to give me your thoughts and your opinions here very soon. And he could also call in. I made sure that I went into the blocked users list and I made sure he was unblocked from the channel. So he has an open opportunity at any time to come on and discuss this, right? Like adults. He has an open opportunity. He's always open. He can call in anytime, 24/7. But just like the bugs at the end of Starship Troopers, it's afraid. It's afraid. John here says, I don't blame PO. I don't blame him either, man. The saga is exhausting. It's exhausting to me, and I don't even really want to be a part of it. But PO, I get it, man. You got to sit there and listen to stuff. You could tell he started to lose interest when he started just like playing other videos during the stream. You know, he would just like cut away to something completely unrelated. You could tell. So Safety here says, massive update on the Justice for Sophie thing. Tests and investigations confirmed the mother was pimping her daughter to her boyfriend and 3 other men. Send me that information on Discord, Safety. I'll cover it on tomorrow's episode of Milk Carton Mysteries. Okay. Why are you getting ads on the live chat? I don't know. I don't know why there's ads. We're running behind. Okay. Thank you, everyone who's here. We've already got 67 people in. That's awesome. Tizzy says, we was boulders. Fuck you, Tizzy, but yes, that's very true. All right. So why don't we take a quick second here? Well, we're gonna dive into the first thing. I have to stop this, and then this is the only thing I dislike about StreamYard is that I have to stop. Okay. Oops, I'm in the wrong screen. I brought up my screen. This is Boomer Technology here. There we go. Let me just get this right one. Okay. All right. So we're gonna bring up Faith's whole statement here, her whole thing. We're gonna look it up. We're gonna watch it. I'm gonna pause it at times because I have responses. Yes, Garrick. Just when I thought that was out, they pull me back into Godfather Part 3. Yeah. I mean, like I was talking about this last night. Like, what am I gonna do once the gunt is gone? Boulder Talk Radio should continue, but we'll have to find a new thing to talk about because I don't want my whole life revolving around Ethan Oliver Ralph because I think that's something that's very bad. Very bad. I was expecting more tabs. Well, I'm not bringing up the whole application. I might, though, later on to show you for fun. All right. Let's dive in to Fei Fei's story. Let's 4 minutes, 39 seconds. All right, starting now.
I've tried my best not to respond to the attacks from my father and mother over the past few weeks.
Okay, so I'm going to pause this because I want to interject. She's tried her best to not respond. Well, what that means, if you think about it, she hasn't responded to anything. Ever since her parents got her cell phone, she hasn't responded to anything. So right then and there, it's already, you can tell that this written prepared statement is definitely not based in reality. She hasn't said anything to her parents. She hasn't contacted them. She hasn't said anything publicly. She can't say anything publicly. She's got no access to any of it. So there we go.
My main focus has been on my relationship and my recovery.
But recovery from what? And I know I'm not the only one to bring that up, but I have to point that out. Recovery from what? According to her parents, she had gotten into a thing with them, and that ended up being like what pushed her to the hospital. So what recovery? The recovery from the embarrassment of your nether regions being filled by a thumb and sniffed for the whole internet to hear? I mean, it was a sniff heard around the world. We know that he did it. So it's that whole notion of like, what recovery? If it's from the tape, you are with the person who released the tape. And if he was hacked, and again, I say this, if Ethan Oliver Ralph from Richmond, Virginia was hacked and he did not in fact release that tape, then I fully want him to bring public defamation charges against me and anyone else who has made the claim that he released the tape, because he did in fact release the tape. If we are wrong and we are slandering your character, whatever character there might be hidden under that greasy pus-filled gunt, then by all means, sir, let's settle this in court. Let's settle this the right way. Let there be discovery. Let us get to the bottom of this crime. Let us discover who slandered your good name and showed the world Fei Fei's butt. Right? I mean, if you got nothing to hide, at all, then what's the problem, Pipsqueak? What's the problem? Mini Peen? What's the problem, little dick Master Sin? Because I'm calling you little Dicky now. Because that's what you want to be anyway, and we've already seen it. Anyway, let's continue. I'll try not to pause it as much. All right, I'll try my best not to pause it as much.
That will continue to be the case. However, due to their recent unethical and arguably illegal activities, I've decided it was necessary to set the record straight with this statement.
I'm sorry, it sounds like she literally has a knife to her throat. You know, it really does. It really sounds like she is sitting there reading from this printed out document. And she's like, I have to read this off in order to live. It's the only way that he'll give me food. He keeps eating the rest of it, but it's the only way.
I am not mentally ill, as my parents would have you believe. I do have mental health issues, depression, anxiety, PTSD, all things that millions of Americans deal with daily.
And all Americans who deal with those daily, such as myself and many others, would argue that that is, in fact, a mental illness. So to sit there and say, I'm not mentally ill, but then to list off 4 specific instances of mental illness shows a very interesting script writing approach. Who drafted this to sit there and go, I'm not mentally ill, but hold on, let me checkmate myself 4 times. Is that a Ralph thing? Because Ralph, if I recall, never finished school. He went for a poli-sci degree, but he's always been a writer. And Ralph wrote this. I think someone said Gator wrote this. No, this is Ralph written all over it. You can tell he's trying like crazy to make it as official of a press release as humanly possible and to have it be effective. And as I said last night, this entire thing was literally just for his audience, for his pay piggies to not run. That's what this was designed for. It was why it was released at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's why it was released like in the dead of night when people had gone to bed, and it would circulate around in his Discord amongst his pay piggies, and they would all go, Ralph did nothing wrong. Like some asshole named Kaz on Twitter that was like sucking at the gunt, bowing before a lesser god, and all that stuff.
Last month, in the face of withering abuse and attacks from Kiwi Farms, Godwinson, PPP, and others, I had a breakdown and required hospitalization.
Wait, what? Like, first and foremost, everyone's been criticizing Ethan. If you want to say the weathering the attacks, and I think she said withering attacks, which is not the right grammar, but if you want to look at, I mean, what are they saying? Okay, let's be fair here. What are they saying? They pointed out meth teeth. That was a joke. They pointed out that you had Jack Skellington earrings that looked surprisingly like mundane Matt skulls. Don't worry, that merch is not coming. And they made fun of some acne. And maybe you need to tweeze your eyebrows a bit. I mean, as far as the internet goes for attacking someone's based on their physicalities, this ain't shit. This ain't much. This is nothing. It's very little. Everything was aimed at Ethan. Even when the sex tape came out, people like talked about your body, but it wasn't like a great deal of focus on your body. So what attacks? And you were already in the mental ward when the tape came out. So again, what attacks? I love the manipulation here. I love the goalpost moving, and of course the victimization. I love all that because you can tell it's an absolute load of crap. All right.
My parents, who now talk about how much they care about me, used to regularly ridicule my mental health. And on that day, they didn't even want to take me to the hospital until I forced their hand. The concern.
You said you were going to commit suicide. What parent in their right mind who doesn't love their child immensely would not do the right thing in a moment saying a child is like, I'm going to kill myself, or I want to kill myself, I want to die, not put you in the right place to get help? I mean, you are literally trying to blame your parents for doing the right thing. And that's another reason why you know this whole thing is bullshit.
Parent routine is just an act. If it wasn't an act, how could my father, Matthew Vickers, justify linking up with the same scumbags who put me in the hospital? He now interacts with Kiwi Farms and considers them friends. He does interviews with Godwinson. These are the people responsible for the sudden decline in my mental health, and my father now calls them friends.
And it's the enemy of my enemy situation. Let's be realistic here. Kiwi Farms hates my ass too. All right. But when it comes to the subject of the gunt, we can kind of break bread over mutual enemies. And once the gunt goes away, they'll be back to hating me. All right. I don't make any mistake about that. I don't have any delusions of grandeur about being accepted into the halls of the farms as one of their own. Not at all. All right. It's just a relationship of mutual beneficial acts. That's it. All right. And your dad doesn't sit there and call them friends. Your dad is, it's like, again, come on. Look at this. They do interviews with Godwin's in. What the hell is this crap? Like,
That's not the behavior of a concerned parent. It's the behavior of a narcissist. This man has shared my private health history to the entire internet without my consent. He talks about me getting tested for medical ailments, but when I was there, they neglected to take me to get medical care time and time again. Delays, excuses, there was always a reason. When I was in the hospital last month, they called only once, and even then, they didn't leave their number.
they didn't leave their number. According to the timeline, they were talking to the doctors pretty frequently. So I would assume that they had their number. And I would assume that you would probably know your parents' number by heart. I would hope that a child of the digital age would at least have their parents' numbers memorized. You know, I don't talk to my mom as often as I would like, but I have her cell phone number memorized just in case. My family's home phone number is memorized just in case. Again, there's logical fallacies here that do not add up, that just do not, under any circumstances, add up. Again, is this a hostage? Is this like an ISIS hostage video? The answer to that is probably yes.
My father has publicly disowned me on Twitter, shared embarrassing details about my life, and much, much more. My parents, through their reckless behavior, have also likely poisoned a civil proceeding I was in the process of undertaking against my rapist. My dad is the one who encouraged me to do this, and it breaks my heart that he has probably demolished any chance I had to get some sort of attempt at closure on that.
Now, I have a question about this, and I think Vickers will respond to it. But my question, I haven't read the response yet. But, I mean, this whole situation, wouldn't it be, maybe I'm wrong, maybe someone will correct me. And if I am wrong, please let me know. But in this particular situation, isn't the accusations she had made against Vickers being physically abusive? And then I think there's texts of her saying that that's not true. I mean, isn't that effectively what she's talking about here? I don't know, maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's a piece of info I didn't get. But if that's what she's referring to, then here's a solid idea for you, Feifei. Don't fucking lie about people. And then maybe when you actually do need to do something, you won't be in a situation to where there might be a compromise of your credibility. By, you know, and again, I don't know the whole details here, but I'm just saying it's like maybe, you know, I don't know. I'm sorry. Like once you come out and you make those false allegations against people, it really does make you question if anything else they say is true, which is why this entire 4-minute, 39-second ISIS hostage video is very much being torn apart by so many people because it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
He probably doesn't care about this at all, but I wanted to point it out for the record. My parents have also refused to return or arrange for the return for my personal belongings. Even getting my ID from them was like torture. Much of the stuff I bought with my own money earned from working. They still
at their store, by the way, working at their store. Notice how she left that out, right? Most of the things I bought with my own money from working, ... next subject. But in reality, it's ... from my mother and father's store that I work at. Right? You got to love that there. You got to love that they're the ones who give her a job. And she's now acting like it's this, oh, well, you know.
Still refuse to return it. All of my remaining things are being held hostage by them in a misguided attempt to make my life harder. It's sad and it's petty.
Wait. It's sad and it's petty. That's straight up an Ethan thing right there. But there was a little bit of interesting tone in her voice, where I do think she actually believes that it is sad and petty. I actually believe that was a sincere comment right there, because there was a bit more tone there where she was actually kind of upset. Because you figure an 18-year-old that's like her is materialistic to an extent, and she wants her phone, she wants her laptop, she wants her personal items, and her parents are saying like, no, we're not going to send them to you because it's going to cost us hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And at no point have they, as far as I know, we haven't seen the communications. At no point have they said, okay, well, we'll fly back to California because Ralph can't go unless he gets, his parole officer says it's okay. They'll go back to California to collect it themselves and then move on with their life. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't done that. They're putting this all back on the parents. But because they put it all back on the parents, it's, again, like nothing's being done. It's so funny. It's an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force, although not really at the same time. Anyway.
They also said that they would respect my privacy, but have, according to them, hacked into my personal accounts and devices. Not only is this unethical, but it's also most likely illegal.
Okay, listen, we're going to talk about ethics. You're with a guy who released your sex tape. All right. I don't think you have a leg to fucking stand on to argue ethics. And I mean, a lot of people are hypocrites. So I get accused of it all the time. But I don't think in this particular situation you have a leg to stand on here when the guy you are currently defending by reading his words in audio, not on camera with the newspaper to show us what day this was made, a proof of life image. You can't sit there and say that it's like this. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way, Fei. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And this is not a very well thought out statement. This is either written by an 18-year-old and proofread and edited by a 35-year-old poli-sci non-college graduate, or it's Gator. I don't know.
I don't know if these messages are altered, although I would not put it past my father. But what I do know is this: I do not consent to the sharing of these messages in public. You access them without my knowledge or consent, and I am telling you publicly to cease and desist.
Cease and desists don't really work unless you have a legal threat to back it up, and you don't. If they can prove ownership over those devices, meaning they're the ones who paid for them, and you can't, then they've got it. And if they can then gain access to what's on that device. It's not illegal. Arguing ethics in regards to familial problems is funny when you are dating the guy who released your sex. I'm sorry. Anytime she mentions unethical, that's Ethan right there. That is Mr. Don't be an ethics cuck, right? Because that's what he would say during Gamergate. He's like, don't be an ethics cuck, coming out and dropping these little bombs that make very little sense.
And the big reason they say that they're doing all of this is my boyfriend, Ethan Ralph. My father has always hated Ethan because of how we got together. Now he's using the army of trolls who drove me into the hospital as his weapon against him. I want to state very clearly that Ethan Ralph absolutely did not release revenge porn of me.
That is not true. That is not true. That is Ethan writing that right there. That is the lie. That made me so mad. I heard this last night before going to bed. That made me so mad last night. Because yes, he did. Faith, I don't know if you're watching this. I don't know. I watched it happen. I saw Ethan in the live stream. I saw him say, pull it up. I watched it happen live. My jaw hit the floor like everybody else. And we immediately dove in to take a look to see if this was actually accurate or if it was something else entirely. I watched it happen live. It horrifies me nightly. It seared into my dreams like something that you would never want to truly experience. You thankfully had the ability to look at the wall in that really terrible crack shack room, not wearing your corrective lenses, which means everything was practically a blur anyway. So you were spared. The rest of us, on the other hand, not so much. We're not the lucky ones. Quite frankly, neither are you. But still, come on, girl. He released this shit. And he also sniffed it. But he definitely released it.
He had my consent to record the video. We're still together, and we plan to marry soon.
No! What? Oh my God. How in the... Oh my Jesus fucking Christ. What kind of... Oh, fuck Jesus. I mean, I heard this last night, and again, jaw dropped. Anger came out of me. Hearing it again, it's just that fucking... Are you kidding me on this shit? We plan to marry soon. You met him in February. That was 7 months ago. 7 months ago. And all the drama that you've gone through in 7 months, the secret trip to Los Angeles where you lied to your parents about who you're going to be staying with in order to stay at Barbie's dream house with Dick and Ralph, and then do your thing there in order to be with Ralph while he cheated on Aid. And then you still were talking to Chris, and you were still sexting with Chris during all of that time anyway. We know because we've also seen the screenshots. Like, there's no mention of that. There's no mention of Chris in any of this. And I saw his posts on the farms last night, and what he is saying, which Chris, as a legal point at this one, shut the fuck up. Stop talking to anyone. Stop talking at all. Vickers is still not going to let you off the hook, dude. You fucked up too, but stop talking. You're only going to make it worse. And get help. And get off the fucking internet. All I want to say to him on that one. But they're going to marry. And you read those. We read those emails last week where Ethan had said that, you know, he's not again. He wants to have kids. He's wasted too much time on bad relationships, 10 years on bad relationships, and he wants to have kids. This is like, I mean, this is a god awful, horribly written reality TV show. And it's real life, and it's the weirdest shit. But all right, we're almost done. We'll just kind of blaze through it.
I would rather have never talked about this topic publicly, but my father has made that necessary. The fact that my father and now mother are doing this breaks my heart. Every step of the way, they have made this situation worse, and they continue to do so. I wish that they would focus on my brothers instead of neglecting them for this insane war against my boyfriend. I don't anticipate putting out any more statements, although we will see if they're needed.
You have to love that, right? Say, oh, they're not talking about the kids. Well, the kids are homeschooled, according to the parents. And that ends up being a factor, right? That the kids are homeschooled and they're already there. And the parents are doing this predominantly in the evening, maybe after the boys went to sleep. But if you cared about your brothers, you might try to make an attempt to talk to one of them to explain to them your side of the story. And as far as I know, that hasn't happened. You haven't said so here. Your parents haven't said so. It's possible. But I'm also hearing through just the grapevine that you're not allowed to be on social media or to talk to anybody as per an agreement with Ralph or something. And I don't know how true that is. But it would make sense given your ability, your desire to kind of seek out men on the internet and spark up conversations with them, and then send them lewd photos and video call them from the shower at Ralph's house while Ralph is away. And as I alluded to last night, you have 3.5 hours to do your show while Ralph's doing his show where you're left unsupervised with the PlayStation that's connected to the internet. Once an addict, always an addict on this front, and they will find a way. They will find a way. So I would suggest, if Ralph is listening to this, maybe when she's asleep or not home or something, log into the PlayStation and look to see if she's been talking to anybody else. You might be surprised. You may not be. I don't know. I'm not a psychic. I'm just an observationally based person. Anyway, let's wrap this up.
I just want to state this clearly and for the record. I do not want to live with my parents ever again. I'm not mentally ill. I'm not stupid. I'm here speaking from the heart. I'm 18 years old and of sound mind, and I will be 19 in just a matter of days. I'm asking my parents, publicly, to leave me alone and to let me live my life as an adult. They have no right to treat me this way, and I won't back down because of their pressure. If they continue, we will have to explore other options, such as a restraining order. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm going to go back to focusing on my health and school plans, and I hope that my parents respect my decision.
Okay, well, we don't need to listen to that. All right, so what we got out of that, out of that right there was something. All right. And, wow, yeah, that was, oof. That was a bit hard one to get through, guys. That was a toughie because she's fucking insane. And that whole thing it was written, I'm going to go plan to go to school. Like, you just moved to Virginia a few months ago. The school session has already started, even for community colleges. Online, you're going to have to wait until, I don't know, mid-October maybe to get in on some 8-week courses. February to get in on a regular standard course. You're not a resident of the state. You're going to be paying out-of-state tuition fees unless you're doing it online from a California college. One of the things that your parents had said is that you were going to be going to college out there while living with your grandmother. Your grandmother would look after you. You would look after her. It'd be a good, beneficial relationship to give you the freedom to be an adult, but still have some responsibilities. And yet that is somehow something that is still considered bad. You're gonna go to school living with Ralph, a man who drinks all night, sleeps all day, talks to white nationalists and all sorts of other bad people on the internet while his relevancy wanes constantly. I mean, are you marrying him for the money? Because I know 50,000 sounds like a lot to an 18-year-old. And he probably showed you his bank account as a way to further seduce you into intercourse. But that money doesn't last forever. That money doesn't last always, you know? And eventually you're going to have to support him. I heard tonight he only made $50 on his show. Ended it early. Wasn't really there. He's kind of checked out. Like he had other things on his mind. Maybe because your parents are having a little bit of fun fucking with him when he's going live, because people are going to let him know. We already know he obsessively surfs the farms. You know, beforehand we heard he got Gator to do it, but when maybe Gator was hiding too much from Ralph, maybe Gator wasn't telling Ralph the whole story, and an egotistical narcissist, definite sociopath can't keep away from that, wants to know what everyone is saying, wants to know what everyone is thinking, wants to know if he has any friends or allies on that board. And all he sees are just gifs of his fat swinging belly like a human waterbed jiggling from one poke, lazily laying there as he has sex. Hey, look, he can argue that he had sex, but quite frankly, it's the laziest sex any of us have ever seen. And that's saying something for people who do a lot of porn watching on the internet. So, good times. Good. Stretch, it's true, man. It's true. Money doesn't last forever. Let's see here. Money doesn't last forever. It doesn't. It doesn't, man. Fucking YouTube 2016, I made about 70 grand. You know what? I paid a lot in taxes, and then I bought a house. And then I'm house poor. Now I have a job working with the government, making decent money doing this for fun in the evenings. You know, it's like that. And I did see a super chat I want to get to. Let me go back up and go get it. If I can. It's not going to let me. I'm sorry. All right. So Jay Australian 449. I don't know. Unfortunately, I didn't get to it in time. I was covering that. It won't let me bring it up on screen. But he asks here, what could redeem him at any point? Anything. Asking obviously about Ethan Ralph. If anything could redeem him. I would say, you know what? Here's what would redeem Ralph. To be honest with you, and I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be heartfelt for a hot second. Rehab, lots of rehab, lots of therapy. And honest to God, I hate to say this, but it's probably true. Finding Jesus, and I'm not even a religious person, but I think it would give him purpose outside of himself. That's the problem with someone like Ralph. He's never had anyone else to really care about. Everyone is always taking care of him. When he went to jail, Nora ran the website, right? It wasn't Gator. It wasn't Seattle for Truth. It wasn't Wild Goose. It was Nora. Nora's the one that kept him going on the inside. She flew out to see him when he got out. All of those things. He needed somebody to manage it. Sure, she was his wife, but I think at this point we've also kind of determined that it was a bit transactional. And she outgrew him and she moved on. And then he chose to find himself with a younger model, albeit in a much different headspace. I don't think anything could truly, I mean, in what regards would we be redeeming him? I mean, societally speaking, his name is trash. Internet speaking, his name is trash. He would have to change his name completely, drop a buttload of weight or gain a lot more, do whatever he could to change his voice and his physical appearance, and just meld into society. A person without an identity, a person of no merit, of no note, of nothing. Because in reality, that's the only thing that's going to remotely stop him from what is going to be insurmountable amounts of internet shit for the rest of his life. Those of us who do this, there's always going to be a degree of internet shit we get, regardless. Doesn't matter what you do. There's always going to happen. But most people, even with their most dire fuck-ups, can find a way to get past it. But when your entire existence boils down to how many times you can double down, eventually, whatever parachute you have, whatever golden ticket you've acquired is going to run out. And the only stop next is rock bottom. And then the question becomes, did you fall from a high enough drop to survive? And someone like Ralph? Nah, he's holding on by a thread, and that thread's name is faith. He knows it. Hell, I think she knows it. The Vickers know it. We know it. Everyone knows it. His show is losing relevance. He's losing patrons. He's not making as much money through the lemons. What does that tell you? Desperation sets in. And when desperation sets in, it's never going to end well. Period. Anyway, I thank you for that $5. Appreciate that, sir. Okay. So, yeah, that's right. I said headspace, motherfucker. I said headspace. I made the joke. I can laugh at myself. I have no problem with that. Shit. At this point, I think it's kind of apparent. All right, why don't we go and take a look at the Vickers, what they're up to, what their response is. I'm just going to read their responses because I think that that's going to be probably like the most interesting. So let's take a look here at that. We'll blaze through that, and then I'm going to open up the lines for people to call on in. So that will be good. Okay. So this is For Whom It Does Concern from The Retort Abortionist is the name of the writer. Now, it says here, before we begin, Mrs. V and I want to make clear that the majority of our responses here are directed not at Faith, but at Ethan Oliver Ralph, the Gunt, about the audio statement read by Faith and posted to YouTube on the early morning hours of September 9th. Whether or not Faith was coerced to read the statement, we cannot say. What we do know is that while this is clearly being read by our daughter, those are not her words. Yeah, anyone could tell you that. Anyone could tell you that. All right. So then they kind of defend themselves a little bit here, but let's go into it. All right. So Faith first says here, I've tried my best not to respond. And they say she really did do her best. In fact, she never reached out by any form of communication to even ask us to stop. She has not spoken with us directly since we took her to the hospital almost a month ago to this very day. Our only correspondence from her since was then a handwritten letter requesting personal items. And I think that was the letter we heard about. Hold on, I have to take this thing off. I have a elbow brace and it's killing me. Yeah, she wanted her driver's license and social security card, I think, and like maybe a passport or something. She needed like her personal documentation. There's been speculation that it's because they wanted to get married. And when she said we'll marry soon, that tells me that was actually a pretty big factor. She says, my main focus has been on my relationship and my recovery. And they said, recovery from what? We have not been advised by her or the Gunt that there has been anything for her to recover from. Has she been injured? No, we can already kind of ascertain that, but she's saying recovery as in the attacks from the farms. But the farms are always going after Ralph. And they've made fun of her, but that's not enough. If that's enough to drive her towards suicide, what's going to happen when she pisses off Ralph and he goes on one of his tirades? You know, when Ralph feels backed into a corner and he's losing the argument, he goes for very personal, vitriolic attacks. What's going to happen when he loses his temper at Faith? When he starts calling her a cunt and a whore and a slut, and that everyone on the internet has seen her pussy and her tits and her asshole, and they've seen him thumbs deep in her asshole sniffing that shit, literally. What's going to happen to her mental health when he finally cracks and says that? Because he will. He will. You know that. You guys have to deep down know that. When he is backed into a corner, that's how he responds, like a wounded animal, looking for anything he can to get away. So he'll hurt you as deeply as he possibly can. That's exactly what's going to happen here. He's going to get pissed off and do that because he thinks he has control over her. When it came to Aid had control over him because she was clearly the adult and held the responsible cards. I think Nora was the same way. Ralph was so desperate to not lose his other child bride that he probably let her lead him around by whatever, by his ear, by his dick, by whatever. And he never really had control, which is why she's the one that ended the relationship. She finally got bored and she left. Faith has all the power right now, but Ethan will one day want to take that back. Now, there she brings up the unethical and arguably illegal activities. They said, we will cover unethical and arguably illegally later, but my offer still stands to the gun. Do you think I'm doing anything illegal? Bring charges. Our primary course of actions are being motivated by your unconsented release of a sex tape featuring our daughter. I welcome the opportunity to bring this up in court and to have you answer to it. This is as this video is a primary cause of our grievance with you. And you've done nothing to concretely convince us that the crime was not committed by you yourself, then we must press forward. You see, from our very rational standpoint, you've managed to greatly contribute in the destruction of the young woman you supposedly love because you are a drunken fool. The concept of assumed innocence only applies within the court system. It saves you for now from the law, but it does not save you from us. We know that you are guilty. Ooh, that's so good. That's great. That's great. She goes on to say, all right, I'm not mentally ill, as my parents would have you believe. I have mental health issues, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and all things that millions of Americans deal with daily. That line to me is still so super weird. So he says here, does this sentence even require a response? Is there a difference between mental health issues and mental illness? I think that the gut had intended her to say that she was not mentally ill in the way that her parents are claiming, and that she is doubling down on her claims of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Yeah. And she's made those claims before. I believe even Chris has said that. But Chris has also said that she's very pushy when she wants something. So, the question then becomes, when it comes to Ethan and Faith's relationship, when you've got both people who are absolutely not against playing the victim, what's going to happen when those two forces collide? Oil and water, so to speak. All right. How to get a drink. Okay, so assuming this is what the gun meant, we'll make this quite plain. We have good reason to suspect that Faith does not suffer from the 3 mental ailments that she claims to plague her. Our reasons will be explored in more detail later in our response. We did at one point absolutely believe these claims, but what we know now is painfully much more than what we knew then, meaning she's a liar, is what they're trying to say. Then she goes on to talk about Kiwi Farms, Godwinson, and PPP, and others. I'm assuming I'm probably lumped in with that as well. He says this is utter and complete nonsense, and one of the reasons how we know this is the Gunt writing. Faith's hospitalization was a result of a confrontation about Mrs. V and myself uncovering a long list of lies. Oops. What the hell? Sorry. I got YouTube messed up on me again. Anyway, let me take a quick look at something here. Yeah. Give me a quick sec. It's sometimes YouTube loves to do this thing where okay, I don't know what happened. It glitched on me. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right. He says Faith's hospitalization was a result of a confrontation about Mrs. V and myself uncovering a long list of lies. None of these lies had anything to do with Kiwi Farms, Godwinson, PPP, or others. The lies were to us as much as they were to the Gunt. Feeling backed into a corner, Faith refused to respond or defend her actions. She said that she wanted to hurt herself. She said that she felt like jumping through the window of the hotel. She proclaimed that the only thing that would make her feel better would be to talk to the Gunt. Certainly, we did not facilitate that request. Mrs. V, upon Faith's threats of self-harm and claims of suicidal ideations, was the first person to suggest that Faith go to the hospital. Faith never requested it, merely nodded her head when Mrs. V made the offer. And remember, Mrs. V has worked in the medical field before, so she would know, and Faith would know that her mom would know that. So she was just making these claims. I want to jump through the window unless you let me talk to Ethan. I'm going to jump through the window unless you let me talk to the Ralph. Like, what the hell? This is manipulation, clear 18-year-old manipulation. Let's see. My parents, who now talk about how much they care about me, used to regularly ridicule my mental health. Now, he says, not true. At times, we have certainly questioned the validity of her claims because there seems to be more evidence to the contrary than evidence of any serious mental health issue, which I've even talked about. Like, you can tell by what she says. There were times where we certainly criticized her actions as being inconsistent with someone who considered themselves mentally ill and carried on with other actions. Antithetical to recovering from or symptomatically treating such conditions. Additionally, on multiple occasions, her claims of a mental crisis were clearly attempts at an emotional hostage taking, an attempt to avoid normal and natural consequences of her misbehavior. So a teenage girl, a teenager, right? It's a teenager. That's what it is. So, I mean, it's just an emotionally driven, emotionally charged teenager dealing with hormones. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's not uncommon, right? That's not uncommon. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It's not uncommon when you are, a teenager. It happens. So they understand this. But again, Ralph is so emotionally, mentally stunted that he doesn't understand that he's being played. He knows that he was played when it came to Chris, which is why he released the sex tape. He knows that he was played. And like I said, I honestly think there's more than one. Chris wasn't the only puppy dog that she had on a leash. I guarantee you there were more, and I think Vickers knows that now. I think Faith knows that Vickers knows that now. And I'm really wondering what we're going to find next. And on that day, they didn't want to take me to the hospital until I forced their hand. He says, we've already covered this. But she did sign out against medical advice after the attending doctor promised her that he would keep her hospitalized until they had together formulated a solid action plan to get her the mental help she needed. And that plan must necessarily be better than the option of going back to California, which she didn't want to do. If she supposedly forced our hands, then why did she surrender her best opportunity for help? Exactly. Because she wanted out. She wanted to see Ethan. And again, my opinion, my theory, my speculation is that because she knew of the sex tape, she knew he probably groveled and said he was sorry and he was hacked and all this stuff. And now she's got that emotional power over him. She's got that emotional control over him. So why wouldn't she want to go back to him where she can exercise it? Why wouldn't she want to go back? We already know that she's got these issues, right? Of manipulation. Why wouldn't she want to go to a person where she can absolutely control who he is? Now, what I'm surprised at is that the Ralphie Chan picture isn't front and center on the podcast. That'd be pretty funny. So, all right. Okay. If it wasn't an act, how could my father, Matthew Vickers, justify linking up with the same scumbags that put me in the hospital? He now interacts with Kiwi Farms and considers them friends. He does interviews with Godwinson. He says here, I've never used the word friend to describe anyone from Kiwi Farms. I've had zero interaction with the farms directly. Some of my early Twitter posts included screen caps, which included many criticisms, which I ceased out of concern for the rest of my family. As far the interview singular with Godwinson, I declined an interview early on with many people who requested one. Months later, I saw that Godwinson defended Faith and I against a seeming or former gunk guard who not only referred to Faith as a degenerate whore, but had said that she should be hanged to the other degenerates. Is that PPP? That sounds like a PPP thing. Mrs. V and I offered a written response style interview, but the timing didn't work out. And she and I decided that we would go ahead and do the interview ourselves. If it started to go sideways or in a direction that we didn't like, we would simply disconnect, which is true. And the thing is, people actually thought that I was playing Mr. Vickers. I got a lot of messages from people asking me, is that you? Are you voicing Mr. Vickers? And I'm like, no, I was at a family barbecue. So I was hanging out with my daughters and my nephews, swinging on the swing set, all this stuff. So it's like, no, I had no idea this was even going on. All right. Oh, okay. I'm being told that it was John Michael Kelly who said that. Okay. Yeah. John Michael Kelly's a fucking moron. He was a fucking moron on Gamergate. He's a fucking moron now. All right. Like that guy was always an asshole. Okay. Pre-interview, during the interview and post-interview, Godwinson was nothing but respectful, kind, and passionate. Whether that respect and kindness was genuine or not is irrelevant. I think it was. I like Godwinson quite a bit. Whether he will turn on us or not is irrelevant. He allowed us a voice which we previously had not had. Without the ability to contact Faith directly, we thought that it might help her to understand the wake of destruction left in her path at the behest of the Gunt, which is very true. Ultimately, we had opted to not wait for actors, and we felt it more important to use our own voices, knowing that the more time Faith is with the Gunt, the more danger that she is ultimately in. Yeah. I mean, like, honest to God, like, the thing with the actors, it bothered me. I was like, that's so stupid. Like, don't do it. Like, either go on there and talk or don't. Like, don't use the same guy who played Mr. Vickers last time, that Turk February guy, whatever the fuck his name is. Like, don't do that shit again. Like, that was a real bad gay op. I hated that gay op. I thought it was terribly tacky. I thought it was terribly tacky at the time. It was really bad move on both of their parts, but it's good that they came on. These are the people responsible for my sudden decline in mental health, and my father now calls them friends, right? And that's such an Ethan line right there. Blame the bully. They're not bullying her. They're bullying Ethan. So he's speaking through her. It's really funny. There's a lot of projection here. I feel like there's so much projection. Ethan should get a job at a theater. All right. It says, firstly, we already covered the cause of the sudden decline. Second, Faith nor any of her family would have never, ever even been on Kiwi's radar, sans her interactions with the Gunt. Third, I have multiple text messages from Faith to myself and her mother, in addition to emails from the Gunt, advertising us that the Kiwi Farms attacks were nothing to worry about and should ignore, and that is no big deal. So which is it, Gunt? Are they responsible for the sudden decline in her mental health, or are they no big deal? Exactly. It's the whole thing. Even if Kiwi Farms had anything to do with causing any kind of decline in her mental health, our tip is simple. Stop reading Kiwi Farms. That's actually true. This requires no therapy, no medication, and no physical interactions. Just stop. It is literally action through inaction. And that, again, that's very true. Referenced again is this idea that I consider Kiwi Farms friends. I would reinforce that a handful have reached out to us personally and have been much kinder than the Gunt has ever been. Others have been cruel, but I know 0 of them personally. So it's impossible for me to refer. Yeah, he's okay. He's right. He can't refer to them as friends. He doesn't know them. And then she says, this is not the behavior of a concerned parent. It's behavior of a narcissist. Pot calling kettle black, Gunt narcissist, a person who has an excessive interest in the admiration of themselves. Shall we look at my non-existent history of trying to gain and maintain fame against yours? Both Mrs. V and I long to return to the quiet life. You have made that impossible. That you think this is some kind of party for us proves how ignorant you truly are. This is pain, all of it. You think I make jokes here and there in public because I'm having a good time? That's how I deal with this horror show. And it's not an uncommon way to deal with traumatic experiences. Proceeding through the pain to do what you believe is right for your child. There is no better definition of concerned parent, which is true. Ethan hides through the pain by barking like a dolphin. Not for any specific reason. He's just, his entire life is pain. I mean, look at him. Just, I'm saying, like, is there anything that he has that you would be jealous of? No wife, no children, a crack shack, a dying podcast, receding hairline, cirrhosis of the liver from excessive drinking, most likely damaged lungs from all the drugs, pot, cigarettes, vape, a long rap sheet with the law. I mean, what about Ethan is even remotely envious of? What's there? What does he have? Nothing. He's got nothing to even remotely be jealous of. I mean that, literally. Nothing about him is remarkable. Nothing about him you want to write home about. Nothing about him would blow anyone's skirt up. So then why are we all in this situation watching it play out the way that we are? Well, it's because it's drama, because it's a pandemic, and because it's juicy as fuck. Let's be fair. Now let's get back to it here. This man showed my private health history to the entire internet without my consent. And then this man probably should have rewritten that Gunt. This would be Faith's own words. Private health history, not hardly. We've shared nothing that we've not been directly involved in, which makes it just as much our story to tell as hers, which is true. And when my name is being smeared as a child beater by my own daughter, no less, we can think of nothing more devastating or deserving of a swift, clear response. We require no consent from anyone to tell our side of the story, especially if I've been accused of a crime. And that, therein lies the rub. They've been accused by Faith. And she made that comment about, about all that stuff, right? About like them. And she says it in this thing too, about like, they might have done something to damage her case against her rapist. It just brings it all into question. She says, when I was in the hospital last month, they called only once, and even then they didn't leave their number. He says, which genius in the academic Gunstapo thought up this little gem? Mrs. V called several times and left messages for her to call us back. Naturally, we assumed that Faith knew our phone numbers, as they haven't changed in 12 years. Obviously, the doctors knew our numbers as they reached out to us multiple times. So Faith had easy access to our phone numbers had she ever at any point wanted to call us. The doctors told us that she specifically refused to call us back. Yep. I mean, you can pretty much tell what's going on here. This whole thing is a lie. I mean, we've seen the timeline from Vickers. We've seen correspondence from Vickers backing up his side of the story. We've heard the testimony of him and Mrs. V backing up their side of the story. This 4-minute, 39-second absolute nothing burger is so riddled with inaccuracies and made up nonsense. It's all done as a deflection against criticism. So Ralph's pay piggies and whatever audience he has left doesn't flee the gunt, because the gunt is just, it's damaged goods. He's radioactive. He's toxic. He's cancerous. He knows it too. He absolutely knows it at this point. Anyway, she says, he talks about me getting tested for medical ailments, but when I was there, they neglected to take me to get medical care time and time again. Delays, excuses, there was always a reason. He says, poorly written, so I'll have to translate again. I assume by when I was there, she means living with us in California. Aside from her regular appointments with the same pediatrician all her life, we had helped Faith transition from a pediatrician to our primary care physician. She had her first appointment scheduled for August 31st, 2020 to begin her adult medical care, but ran off to Guntsville before that. All right. He says here, my father has publicly disowned me on Twitter, shared embarrassing details about my life, and much, much more. He says, aside from the use of much, much more, seeming like there's a bargain sale at Walmart, I disowned Faith, not without warning, because she currently presents herself as a very real danger to her family. I've taken plenty of flack from all angles on disowning, even from my supposed best friends on Kiwi Farms. Not only did I make it clear to Faith in the Gunt what my response would be should these courses of actions be carried out, I kept my promise. I believe that it was the right thing to do, and while there can certainly be debate on whether or not making that decision public was the right thing to do, I fail to see what difference it makes. When an adult child leaves the home, they make the decision whether they want to grow the family by choosing a stable, decent partner who gains at least a moderate approval from those who know and love that person. But adults are also allowed to make their own decisions, say fuck off, family who gave me everything, and go be whoever the hell they want to be with. This is a difference between growing the family and shrinking the family. The Gunt helped to shrink our family, not grow it. I can't tell if that's a subtle dick joke either. I think it's a subtle dick joke. That's all I'm going to go with here. The Gunt has never made an attempt to be a likable person to us, only mocked us, degraded us for questioning the legitimacy of their trash fire. That has been the relationship. He acts with the mentality of a criminal, demanding respect when he has absolutely done nothing to earn it. I will not have that toxic influence on my family, which is very, very, very true. My parents, through their reckless behavior, have also likely poisoned the civil proceeding that I was in the process of undertaking against my rapist. Okay, so we know that part already. Now, this is what he says here. He says, I absolutely did encourage Faith to seek justice for her alleged traumatic rape, a rape, mind you, that we were not told about till after she fled to Virginia over 3.5 years later. I do not now, nor will I ever wish any parent to have to question their daughter's rape claim, but I am left with little choice, which is why I now refer to the incident as alleged. Like so many of Faith's claims, this allegation came up when it seemed best to suit her, and it focused my attention away from the Gunt and towards a new menace. The rape allegation came out when I was trying to get Faith to tell the truth, and she had said that she was done with lying. Sadly, the lies that came out after would grow exponentially. As we have said before, we've done nothing but tell the truth. If the Gunt believes that the truths we told would not come out during a freaking rape trial, civil or criminal, I'm not sure what to say. By setting herself up to have so many lies so easily discovered when trust is compromised, Faith guaranteed that her allegations would never be taken seriously. And I mentioned that before too, and I stand by that. I say, I mean, like if she was, then by all means, like file the claims. But that statement, like I said when we were going through the tape, it reads like, you called me out on my lies. You proved that I lied. Now that's going to take what I'm trying to do and call that into question, which is then going to cause me more hardship in order to seek justice for this alleged rape 3.5 years ago. So she poisoned her own well. And that's where we are. You know what I mean? It's like, and the thing, look, and I'll give my situation. Like, hey, I flagged 13 people. No, I shouldn't have done it. But if I get attacked and if I get flagged, then I get met with the, well, karma's a bitch. That's what I get met with. And you know what? Those arguments, I get it, right? I understand it. People are always going to be doubtful of someone if they cried wolf. You know, they are. And that's a reality of life. And that's where I get what Vickers is coming from here. Like, I really get it. This is oh my God, there's so much more to get through here. I'm just going to try to blaze through the rest of this. My parents have also refused to return or arrange for the items, the personal items. That was the one, the hundreds of dollars in shipping, which I already talked about. Even getting my ID was torture. The only requirement was Faith request her ID from us directly. A phone call would have been sufficient. But the Gunt himself said that Faith would refuse to call her mother and instead demanded that the only form of contact be a handwritten letter asking for the items. And I sent her whatever I could fit in the USPS small flat rate priority box. We did not steal any of her belongings. She abandoned her possessions at the hotel and made no attempts to contact us from the hospital after she was taken back, or she was back with a gun. Apparently picking up the phone is torture. Yeah, that's basically it. She did. She abandoned all of her items all of her clothing at the hotel. That Disney suitcase, I still believe, is at Ralph's. That poor Disney suitcase. We need to get justice for that. But it's very true. Okay, she says most of the stuff she bought working from her own job. If it shows up at the door, if she shows up at the door wanting her stuff, we'll give it to her. But we're not going to aid the poor decisions by using any of our time or resources to satisfy her demands when she can't be bothered to make a phone call. That's also, though, it would be fun to dissect how much actual work she did when she was working at our shop. And now I can see hundreds of DMs and texts that she sent during the workday. So yeah, I mean, she would live on Discord all day and all night. He has access to all this now. So like I said before, she was working at a shop. So he, like, it's all kind of crazy anyway. And then he says here, additionally, the vast majority of anything that is hers, she certainly did not pay for with her own money. Okay, let's see. They hacked into the stuff. They said the ethical comment about hacking into the phones says here, the ethics of the actions depend upon the intent. So far as the illegality, the ultimate plan is to turn information over to the police and courts anyway. So we'll face the law and judgment at some point, as will the Gunt. Mutually assured destruction at this point, I say. Let's see. I don't know if these messages are altered, although I would not put it past my father. Another line by the Gunt. Neither Mrs. V nor myself have any history of using such dastardly tactics. Why would we submit altered messages to authorities? Your miscalculation was that we had any intent to share this information publicly in the first place. Our very long history in a trust-based business with no record of defrauding anyone should make this quite clear. I mean, okay, that's his own statement because we don't know that about him personally, but I could take his word for it. She says here, but what I do know is this: I do not consent to the sharing of these messages in public. You assess them without my knowledge or consent, and I'm telling you publicly to cease and desist. And he says, I will save this matter for authorities to decide. And the big reason they say that you're doing all this is my boyfriend Ethan Ralph. My father has always hated Ethan because of how we got together. Yeah, I mean, he says, how they got together has little to do with my hatred for Ethan Ralph. Rather than go into another litany of perfectly acceptable reasons why I hate him, I stand by the revenge porn that he released being reason enough for any father to hate a man, or really any man to hate another. And for my rage, Mrs. V's position as a woman, much more brutal than mine. Like I said, you don't want to lose Mrs. V as a protector, and they did. Now he's using an army of trolls who drove me to the hospital as a weapon against him. That's not true. They were already against him, right? Let's be fair. The Kiwi farms Ralph already had a really high thread count on the farms before Faith entered the picture. And now, it's going to hit over 3,000 by the end of September, I think. Or maybe the end of October, I'll be fair. But it's like always things that are happening. All right, here we go. This isn't the good stuff here. Okay, I want to state clearly that Ethan Ralph absolutely did not release revenge porn of me. That's a lie. We all know it. But he says, nice Gunt. Faith was isolated in a hospital without technology when everyone watched you do it. She's either lying for you, guarding for you, has no concept of how technology works, or doesn't care. But she has no basis to make a declarative statement such as this line you have written for her. And that, yeah, 100%. He had my consent to record the video. We're still together and we plan to marry soon. And he says, Mrs. Gunt, that's rich. This is horrifying, but completely expected. Jesus. In that whole line about not wanting to talk about this publicly. He says, we pushed the Gunt into a corner and he weaponized a girl against her parents. It was never necessary. It changes nothing. It does nothing more than deflect from his abhorrent degenerate behavior at the expense of the girl he supposedly loves. Yeah. Yeah, it's really true. I mean, after this, the Caesar much, he's going to go on to the brothers thing. Okay. Then this line here is interesting. I don't anticipate putting out any more statements, although we'll see if they're needed. And yeah, we will see. This is the Guns roll. You can tell Ethan wrote this. We'll see if we need this. There's everything there. They broke it down. You know, like, and it just goes through to the end. I mean, I think we already know. It's a long one. This will take me like another 20 minutes to get through. You know, but again, at the end, he says here, okay, this is what he says at the end. Ultimately, time will slay this beast no matter what. Enjoy getting married at the justice of the peace. We would have given our only girl a hell of a wedding had she only picked an acceptable man. It would have been nice to walk my only daughter down the aisle and give her away to a gentleman instead of watching her get taken away by a gentleman. Even living across the country, it would have been nice to have a son-in-law who I could look at as another son, instead of a man barely my junior who has zero accomplishments under his belt, other than being able to bilk some lemons from some radicals whose views he doesn't even share or agree with. And that's very true. That's very, 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 very fucking true. Okay, let me bring up the chat again there. That was a long one. God, I'm sorry, guys. That went on for a while. Oh, I need to get a goddamn drink. Okay. So for the people that are still here, I want to get your thoughts on this. I want to get your opinions on this. Here is the StreamYard link. Come on in. Let's see here. 3,000 by the end of the week. Is it? I don't know, DM Steely. That's a lot. What's he at right now? Let me bring it up. He's at 2,500. What is this? He's at 2,559. So yeah, I mean, he could. I mean, I don't know, maybe. Like, it's crazy shit. Anyway, it's so close to 2,600 right now. It is, yeah, it really is. If he gets arrested, I will party hard. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, it's. I don't know if he's gonna get arrested. Hey, what's going on, Dispatch? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Matt?
That was a long one, man. Fuck me, that was long.
After last night, it was so shocking the fact that like seeing the response posted, reading that, seeing the YouTube drop at like what 5 a.m. your guys' time?
No, I'm on the West Coast, so it was like I was awake for it. I was in another call with some other friends of mine right before going to bed, and then I'm like, oh no, I have to watch this, and then like I watched it, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not gonna go to sleep for a while. I was so pissed. I'm like, how do you like? Because I have my two daughters, right? So I think about my two kids in this situation, like down the road. Like, am I going to push them away? Are they going to meet some asshole on the internet, you know, that's going to promise them fame and fortune with the alt-right, and then lure them away across country, and then be stuck in a very similar situation? Like, how do I avoid that from happening? You know, like,
yeah,
like
learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, this is like, because Mr. Vickers is only a couple years older than me, you know, so it's like learn, don't. You know, and I think this is going to be one of those like warning, like urban legends, you know, that mothers tell their children. Honey, have you ever heard the story of the Gunt? No, Mama.
Terrifying story.
Well, get under the covers, child, and get ready to be scared, for it's like a floating ocean of human flesh of a belly.
Yeah, it was. And like immediately, like the first couple sentences, like, I don't have mental illnesses. Let me list all my mental illnesses. And then saying that like their parents never reached out, but then also at the very beginning saying, I haven't commented. I've purposely gone out of my way to not say anything. It's like the whole thing is so full of like backspeak that's like, you can see Ralph, like as he's writing it, like trying to do the mental gymnastics to justify all of his points.
Yeah, you really can. That to me is the most hysterical part of this, because it was a calculated response, but it was written. But it was written. It was written in haste. That's the thing. It was written in haste, and it didn't go through enough. It didn't go through enough proofreads. Maybe one or two glance over at it, but it was like, I think they spent more time having Faith rehearse it, if you want my honest opinion, because it sounds rehearsed.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell there's one point where she's trying to say a word and she still kind of partially screws it up.
I wonder how many takes.
That's
You know?
that's a good question.
I wonder how many, because it was audio.
Probably
right? How many
probably wrote it in like an hour right after the kill stream, and then like had to keep going over and over, and that's why it was posted so late.
Yeah, they got the
5 a.m.
copy done,
day.
and they're like fuck rehearsals, dude. Just keep going back, snap your fingers, so we have an edit point in the audio. Posting it as audio and not a video, that shows you that they had errors with it.
Like I said, I think last night we called it where it was like, it's definitely going to be like a hostage reading. I was hoping to have a video of that.
I know. I was really hoping for that too, to her sit there
trying to read off the script on like just off camera, just yes, this I don't have mental illness, just PTSD, depression, whatever else. It's just, I think that this is very wrong for her. It really seems, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not too far off of being 18, 19, just a couple of years. And I remember kind of like, having those periods where like you want to be an adult, you want to be yourself, and you don't want your parents involved. So it really seems like it's just trying to be like typical teenage rebellion.
That's what I feel when I feel it too. But it's like, as far as rebellion goes, this is bad.
This is real bad. I didn't leave the fucking state. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we all rebel against our parents in some particular fashion. My parents are like, don't do this. And I'm like, no. I'm going to go do what I want to go do, and then I went and did it. And that was that. But I didn't like travel cross country to go shack up with some crazy woman I met on the internet. I mean, I have traveled to go meet a woman I've met on the internet, but that was a different story. I was a little older, and I never left the state. I just went up. I just went to a different part of California, but yeah.
Oh, I mean, you got to move around California a little bit. So in the group, there is what Ralph said, because PO didn't snipe the end of the stream.
I have actually. I was just uploading it.
You have it? Okay.
I just uploading it.
So
I haven't seen this yet. This apparently is from the. If you guys remember the end of the stream last night, he was yelling out like "come at me, bitch" or whatever. What was it? Or like
California something? Or I wish I got
like it's like
transcript of it.
It was just him yelling over music. And what's really funny about that was because that actually got me a content claim on the stream.
Yeah, so I went to clip it, and I got to say that's the only. It's like 27 seconds of audio, and it got from WMD.
Oh, I ended up just clipping that part out, just trimming it out of the whole thing. I'm like, screw it. It's like, you know what? Because it's like, I don't care anyway. But I thought it was kind of funny.
That's literally the only section that caused you to do it. So watch out for the end of this clip, because
it's gonna happen.
Same seconds.
Oh my god, it's gonna happen again.
Yeah,
and you know why he does it too. It's like, this is the thing I don't get about podcasts like that. They play copyrighted music, and like no one ever cares. But then again, DLive is a shit platform. But let's take a look here.
DLive is a shit platform.
All right, this is the end of tonight's kill stream.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. Let me pull up that finale song. It's been a blast, actually. A lot of you now. There's been a lot of people. I mean, when have there not been a lot of people trying to fuck up this show and me personally? But this is my promise to you: they will never succeed, ever. I will die and leave this earthly plane before they abort the retort. That's the final deletion. That's the final abort. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. It really has been amazing. Thank you to all the guests. Thank you to Andy Worski and everybody else. Raging Humanist, Gator, Bibble joined us earlier in the show. I have a lot of great friends and a lot of great associates and contributors and colleagues, and it really is a pleasure and a privilege. Good night.
Quick, end it before the audio.
It cut it out.
That's pretty dark and heavy, dude.
Yeah, I'll die before they abort the retort. Nah, you'll be in jail.
He will. I don't think that he would shy away from taking his own life. If he had to lose his podcast, I feel like he has nothing else in life. It might be the end. That would be the final abort.
I get that. Like, I get that entirely, right? I do get that entirely. But when I look at it from the perspective of like, what's he, because again, it's all posturing. Everything he does is posturing. So he doesn't understand that people don't like him because they just don't like him. And like when I had my fallout a couple of years ago, it really opened my eyes to how many people just didn't fucking like me. You know, whether or not they had accurate information is beside the point. I mean, there was a lot of fucking people that just didn't like me. I had never interacted with these fuckers, and they fucking hated me, you know? And so you learn there's like a lot, you know, and the thing is, that's fine. People aren't going to like everybody, but you learn when you are in these situations just how many people fucking hate you, you know?
for very few reasons. And Ralph gives people plenty of reasons to hate him.
Yeah, he really does. He absolutely does. He gives people because he never backs down. He never really learns from his mistakes, and that's going to be the end of the road for him. You know, I'll have to be dead before they abort the retort, and it's all like, well, you know, that could happen. That could happen at any time. I mean, people, you know, like that's something that like I worry about because my address is out there. I'm like, you know, I've gotten handwritten death threats mailed to my home. You know. And so it's like, I'm always a little bit paranoid about that. But the enemies I have, I think, are just mostly online trolls versus people like Ralph who he fucks with in real life. So,
yeah,
that's that's definitely something.
Yeah,
that is.
And once he's turned his back on someone, he goes at them hard and for a while. So it's surprising that like to see people just now catching on to how he acts. But
well, it's like I said during that last little bit there. What is going to happen when he gets mad at Faith? Because she eventually is going to say something that triggers him. All right. Everyone who's ever been in a relationship has always had a moment where you are pissed off at your partner and you say something that you know will get under their skin. And I'm not wrong on that. Everyone has ever been in a relationship, 100%. Whether it's a significant other, whether it's family, friends, whatever. People will take those personal snipes at you in order to piss you off. And Ralph loves to do that when he's backed in a corner. So at any point in time, if she mentions the revenge porn, or any point in time she mentions anything else that he's done. Like,
well, I thought that part was interesting. I thought, so knowing that, or basically assuming that Ralph wrote this, right? Because I think it's pretty clear that he did the way everything is worded, and the way that it says we, heavily implies that Ralph was at least involved in it. But the part where he basically tries to completely absolve himself of blame by making sure that Faith says that, oh, this was with my permission, so it's okay. Like you said last night, I think it was purely a statement put out just for his audience and really isn't relevant at all to Vickers. It's really just for his own sake that everything that's said in there and everything that's supposed to absolve him of blame and guilt and then absolve him of having to take responsibility for anything.
Yeah. Well, the fact, because there's an interesting line there that I didn't mention, but it was on my mind when she says, I agreed to have the video being filmed, which we actually never hear her give an affirmative consent on that, by the way. We never do. She goes like, what are you doing? Yeah. And he's like, I'm filming.
It seems like it was not pre-planned.
Well, it's because of the same, she's asking that question for one, and two, she doesn't really give an audible response. And that's why in that moment, I mean, like, we'll never get confirmation of it now because it was a month ago, but I would assume she was drunk in that moment in time. She was definitely, I believe, on something at that moment in time.
Well, because from some of the videos we saw yesterday, even you could see that like she's definitely taking or under the influence of some substance at some point.
Yeah, and I would argue that again, that's the thing where it's like, oh, I consented to him doing this, but again, that line means dick. Ultimately, that line means dick. For 3 years, that line means nothing. Because even though she might have said it in the statement, all she has to say again is, I was coerced.
Yeah, I was under duress. I made
duress.
That statement under duress, and
yeah,
or I wasn't even mentally fit to make that statement. I mean, alone, like she's saying that like a month ago I had to go into the hospital because I had a mental breakdown. Again, I'm not mentally ill. I just had to go to the hospital once because I had a breakdown. No biggie. Like,
but see, I didn't know when she said she had threatened harm. I didn't know what that was at that point. So like reading his response saying like what she had said she was going to do, which she wanted to throw herself out the window unless she spoke to Ralph. And I believe it. Like I believe that, wholeheartedly believe that, because it's like, okay, that would explain so much of what's going on. Whether it was she was freaking out because there was a chemical dependency that she wanted to get back to him because he had benzos or pills or something. And because by the time that they got to this point, it had been about 2 or 3 days since she had seen him. By the time they got to DC and she had that breakdown, right?
Yeah.
So it'd been a couple days, which says to me that there had been a withdrawal had happened. I think there had been
and possibly that could have been the trigger of the onset of having to go into the hospital for these mental issues.
maybe.
Now, how much do you think the possibility is that she's playing up a lot of this stuff in order to garner sympathy, or to play it as like a card against her parents? I mean, even in the response that her dad said that, like, you know, this rape was just the rape that she was talking about was just so convenient in her timing, and the fact that like the rapist doesn't even exist or is not alive anymore. It's like, could she really have just been playing that and trying to get sympathy there? Because I don't put it past her to be lying about that, really.
No, I mean, I hate to say it, but I kind of view her as everything she says as suspect. You know, I view everything that she says is like that.
There.
And I don't like to ever, no, I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I do. But given what we've seen and what we know for the past month and how things have transpired, especially who she's with, I don't believe anything that comes out of her. Like, unless we see it on video, you know, like on video.
And it happens, you know, a lot of stuff comes up convenient times, and a lot of double speak, backwards logic, trying to reason out of these things. I kind of think both of them are up against a corner where they're not too sure what they're doing. They're both acting like teenagers, really. You know, two teenagers leading each other around, basically.
Well, yeah. And the
Except
thing
for one's like in his mid-30s.
I know, that's the worst part of it. That's the worst goddamn fucking part of it, is when you are, oh God, it's like, mentally speaking, Ralph is not there. He doesn't understand what it means to have a solid relationship. And this is just, I mean, now it's going to escalate. Even the
relationships he's had have not been really true relationships, in my opinion. I don't even count with the thing with Nora. You know, sure, it was a marriage with whatever, you know, things came along with that, but at the same time, like, he hasn't really lived with someone for like years on end, or really had to experience what I think a true, you know, real relationship actually is. So it's in a sense like he's still like, he's not completely mentally mature in any way.
No, and anyone who's ever really worked with him knows that. There's a reason why. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this. A couple months ago, before Flamenco left the show, Flamenco was trolling me pretty heavily, kind of like Kyler. It's really weird how these guys, like, they keep kind of like floating around me. You know, I was doing a live show over on $3 Theater, and again, like this, I'd have call-ins and stuff. And ultimately, like, Flamenco kept coming in and talking some shit. So one night on this channel, I was doing like a Warzone. I was playing, like, you know, fucking Warzone, streaming it one night. And he comes on in the chat and starts trying to talk shit and whatnot. And I just looked, you know, I said, hey man, you can laugh at me all you want. You can fucking say anything you want about me. You know, you work with Ethan Ralph. Your fate is already sealed. Like, you already are tied to him. Like, it doesn't matter what you say about me, dude. You're already fucked. And I'm not kidding.
The lower Ralph goes, the worse it ends up looking.
Exactly. And then not long after that, Flamenco left because of that whole Zoom situation. But I will say this, Flamenco never fucking came back to my channel. Never once came back to the channel. He just left because he was live streaming to his audience, trying to troll me.
What's it gonna take to get Gator there? I mean, where's Gator's snapping point? Is Gator even still there? I haven't heard.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's still there. Yeah, okay. He was there last night. I caught a clip from like PO or something, and Gator was there. Gator's like that battered ex-wife. You know what I mean? Like that battered wife
goes back no matter what.
No matter what is gonna go back. Yeah, it's just no matter what gonna end up go back. He's gonna go down with the ship. He's gonna be like, he's like Smee to Captain Hook. He's gonna go down. Maybe he'll cut and run at some point in time, but he's definitely loyal right now. And I think it's because I think they're trying to see a way out. They're trying to see a light at the end of the tunnel. How do we get through this to get back to what we were doing? Because all of this is just taking energy and it's taking time away. You know, with PPP, stream sniping Godwinson and calling them out, or not, sorry, Gator. And all of that stuff and all that extra attention and the farms just like breathing down his neck constantly. It's going to eventually wear on him. But as long as he,
sure. I mean, now we're seeing, you know, another downtrend basically.
Well, I don't fully know. I know like I know after the sex tape thing, he tried defending it until he realized what it was. And then he disavowed, but he still hangs around. Like, well, Ralph's my friend. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna run away. Like, well, I mean, all right, man. You know,
I don't
people
think
know
he's
your
got
name, they
much
know your
else going
face.
on though either.
I'm sorry, what?
Ultimately.
Sorry, say that one more time.
I don't think he has much going on ultimately. I mean, what else is, essentially his is he to do? He's not like he knows much else he's been doing this for so long that this is essentially what he knows.
Well, I mean, he's got Gator time, and I don't even know if that. I mean, I can't sit there. I can't criticize anyone for the lack of views or whatever. I get that shit through my face all the
Lack
time.
of views for entertaining content.
How do you have 124,000 subs with like so few views? I'm like, algorithm. But I can't. I'm not going to use that as an argument. But it's an indicator.
It's a skill, Jarbo. It's a skill.
It's a skill. All right, like nobody fucks up as well. No, I can't say that because Ethan fucked up.
Ethan Ralph has passed you easily.
Yeah. I mean, someone today. This is really funny. Someone today actually said on Twitter. I think they said this. They in a response to T Clips, who I know is here. They actually said to them, like, they go, 100% pardon for Matt because Matt flagged really evil people. It wasn't being like, I'm just reading this shit going like, what do I even say back to this? I think I hearted it and like went on my day,
Stirring shit clearly. She's known just bad person. I mean, haven't you seen everything that Gator wrote about it?
About what? Oh, with T-Clips or?
Yeah. I remember like a month ago, there was all this like drama about her. I don't know what you did, T-Clips, but you made some enemies with Gator apparently. God, why aren't you clipping his stuff?
I don't know. I'm looking at Gator's channel right now, and he doesn't have much going on.
Yeah, that doesn't say much. I don't think he ever has.
Well, because the last thing he did was Gator Time Destiny versus Bo Black's watch party.
Oh my gosh!
And then
so entertaining.
Yeah, that's what he did there. I don't know what he's done specifically. Like, I mean, maybe he's got better on D Live or something. I don't know, man.
Oh, so on D Live too, view wise. Recently there was a little bit of experimenting going on. If you open up multiple tabs, D Live absolutely does not duplicate your view count. So like if you open up 5 tabs D Live on someone's streams, the view count goes up by 5. Thusly, like if you have like about 100 people watching you and tell them all, hey, open up multiple tabs, it'll jump to like 150, 175 all of a sudden when you really only have like, 75, 100 people watching. So numbers definitely are not representative of an audience size to any degree. Chat maybe, but if you watch chat and you turn off the stickers or you block them with like ad block and you block, then like you see your chat moves faster and you have like 100 people here. And it's moving faster than Ralph's with, 400 or whatever.
Jeez.
It's it's.
Well, I'm looking at
the true numbers, but
yeah,
I don't think there's an easy way to do that outside of maybe watching to see how many unique people chat. I might spend some time doing that. We'll see.
Well, what I'm looking at is I went over to Gator's D Live and just to see whether like his last stream was 2 days ago. And he was playing the last Weeb Bender with Flamenco on here, and he only made like $5 in lemons.
My lemons.
And so not a lot there, but it like only has 10 views on the replay. and so it's like I don't know how many people he had live. Probably not a lot for like $5. So I mean, there's not a lot there.
Zero content in the replayability of his streams.
Let's see here. Oh, I didn't say 8 speech anchovy, $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. I fought alongside Chad Patch in the Guntic Wars. Cool.
These wars not over. It's a battle that's gonna go on until this man is either off of D Live or once he's off D Live, I got no idea where he'd go. Like now, Trovo. I would love to see what other. Probably Trovo would be my bet.
I think Plexstorm. Personally,
you think Plexstorm? I've seen a couple people go and try their hand over at Plexstorm for a few days, and
they just get
is such a weird like pornographic mess.
Yeah, but like if you could sit there and become the largest shit show on a porno streaming site.
I'm not gonna lie, there may be larger shit shows there. I've seen some very disturbing things at Plex Storm.
I've only been there like one time when someone's like, "Have you heard about this Plex Storm? Have you?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what that is." And then like, "Oh, you really got to see it. It's like this porn streaming site." And I went over there and it was like some like trans otherkin reading Tumblr blogs or some shit. I'm
That's
all
what
like,
I remember.
"No, I'm good, dog. I'm good. This isn't for me." You know, like, so stupid shit. But I think when we you know, when we think about where things are going to go now and what's going to be happening next, obviously, you know, Vickers has basically said everything we have we're sending to the cops. We're not going to post it publicly. So that's going to suck. But I think once there are formal if there are formal charges taken against Ralph, then we'll probably get that information because, you know, whatever he's
public record, right?
It will, at that point, it will go into public record, but will Ralph, you know, like what else will we get? Like what juicy tidbits will we get this, you know, to help kind of further delineate his mental state? And maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm saying it jokingly, but the guy's, you know, I mean, he's fucking like, he's fucking with fire.
Oh yeah.
And it's like everything he does to try to get away from this, it's like, dude, you're just gonna like, you know, it's gonna go away. People are gonna figure out how to mess with you, and they're gonna keep doing it. And he's not leaning into it. You know, he's not leaning into any. You know, he put on the do-rag he got sent the other night, which was a horrific sight, by the way. And that's like the joke he has. Oh, I'm gonna be the do-rag guy. You know, I don't know what he's got left. And I'm waiting for it to be over so that I can stop fucking talking about it.
Right? I think PO was along the same one where he was like, I'm gonna stream snipe Ralph until this is over. But oof, I think that man has psychologically been broken by Ralph, and it was a little entertaining to watch him break. But yeah.
Oh, there was I did get a StreamYard chat here, or Streamlab donation. Sorry, I just missed it. From Always Lost on Nothing Else, $5. Thank you very much. He says, donation $1.99. This should be a Maury episode. Ralph, you are the father of a child of an alcoholic. Anyway, have some money, Matt, in case you're wondering. Never mind comments and donations. Don't wrench me. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Always Lost on Nothing for the donation and support. I think it's like, I tell you this, I've been looking at like weird news stories because that's kind of what I want to pivot back into once this whole saga is over with, you know, because I think that's more fun. We can look at many more dumpster fires rather than just Ralph. But Ralph is great because it's like this
on for
everlasting
years.
One, yeah. And I've known him for 6 years now, right? I've known him for 6 years now, and I've always fucking hated the guy. Because I've always seen what a piece of shit he is. And what I love about the situation is that, yeah, I'll say this. I went on the kill stream back in 2018 a couple times before the Boulder stream, right? Because he would hit me up, and this is right when he got out of jail, and he was like more polite. He had been humbled by being in prison for as long as he was. It humbled him. It really did. It took him off booze. Right. And he kind of like found a center. And that's, I think, I'm gonna be honest, that's what I kind of wish would happen to him, is go back to jail and get sober. And that might be what saves his life. I'm being fair on this one. That might be what saves his life, is he ends up going back to jail.
I definitely think jail would be one of the best courses of option for him.
Yeah, but I don't just mean for like 6 months. I'm talking like 2 to 5 years. You know, like, because it's gonna because when he went away for like 6 months or whatever, that's not that long of a time frame. And he came back out like at the beginning of IBS. Like he wasn't one of the founders of IBS. He came out and started doing the show, doing the kill stream to a couple hundred people, not even a couple hundred. It was like a little bit here, and he kept going. But he was like way more moderate. He was way more humble, way more laid back. But then he started getting into the IBS stuff, and he started doing what he does now. And then it started to build up from there. But what got him, again, what really kind of boosted him up was the Boulder stream. And I can acknowledge that. I think a lot of other people can acknowledge that too.
I'm blaming you for this man now.
Well,
you were the reason he gained any type of relevancy, Matt.
God
How
damn it.
could you have created this?
Let's think about it like logically. I was false DMCA'd by Zoe Quinn, effectively kicking off parts of Gamergate, not the whole thing, but parts of it. And then he came on board with that. So there we go. All right. Jumping onto my train again, good or bad. And then a couple of years later, I blow up on his stream, and then he milks it to the end of fucking time. And that's actually how he met Faith, apparently. Like, one of the things they first bonded over was she had seen the Boulder stream.
Oh no, Matt.
I know.
Matt,
I know.
It all comes back to you.
I
when we
know.
look at it.
So
I got like a little cork board, drawn little, string yarn across everything, and somehow everything keeps pointing back to you, Matt.
I know. How do you think that makes me feel, Xander? How do you think that makes me feel?
I'd start kind of feeling like Faith and looking at the window over there and being like, shit.
I just want to take off my glasses and stare off into nothing because I'm blind without them on. I just want to like look off at a blurred world and go, ignorance is bliss. To self-medicate on copious amounts of marijuana while I wish myself into a happier place. Like to not ever have that on my conscience. Like that's the thing. If a child is ever born, if the gunt conceives an offspring, we could use a flow chart to trace it back to me.
No.
And I feel bad. I feel bad.
If he ever reproduces, that's gonna be terrifying.
Well, I mean, they do prophesize the Antichrist in the Bible, and maybe, who knows? I don't know. But it's one of those things where it's like that child is going to be like pure fucking evil. I think it's that child exists.
Child's gonna be neglected.
It's not. T-Clip says it will be Matt's fault. Yeah, probably. It's all my fault. Let's be fair. At this point, it's all my fault. What do I do? What do I do, chat? What do I do? How do I help? How do I stop what I've created? How do I put down Frankenstein's gunster? How do I do it?
Need to kill this. Need to kill it.
Metaphorically speaking, not physically.
It's going to kill itself.
This is going to sound terrible, but like, I mean, there's that story of that one 18-year-old girl who like talked her boyfriend into killing himself, and she's going to jail for it. And every time like I want to make a joke about that, and I think to like that story, and I'm just like, nah, you know what? Nah, I'm good. Like, because I don't want to be the straw that
specific instructions.
Yeah, I go to the drawer, take the knife, not the black handle, the blue handle. It's got more texture.
It's poetic.
Yeah, you're gonna want to. No, I don't. I don't want Ethan dead. I'll tell you that. I don't want him dead. I just want him hurt real bad.
What I do for content, and I need another 2,000 watch hours on YouTube. If he goes to jail in the next day or two, I'm screwed because I was planning on using this for that 2K hours.
Well, I mean, by all things, I'm on most nights, so it's kind of like that. But yeah, it's not hard to get 2,000 watch hours, dude. Just do it a couple days and have a juicy topic. Get out there and be like, what else could you talk about? Like, like other YouTuber drama, like Ethan Hunt versus Keemstar.
Yeah, I got to deal with
not Ethan Hunt, Ethan Klein. Ethan Hunt's fucking Tom Cruise.
Do not name your kid Ethan, apparently. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, what sucks is his middle name is Oliver. And like when we were pregnant with our last child, before we found out that it was a girl, we were talking, if it was a boy, we were talking boy names. And we got down between Logan and Oliver because we like both names. And I'm like, at this point, Oliver's dead to me. But Logan is because my girlfriend had just found out she was pregnant right after we saw Logan back in 2017. So she was like, I mean, it's a good name. And I'm all like, it's fucking Wolverine. So yeah. And so we were talking about if we had a boy, naming him Logan, it probably would have been Logan after Wolverine.
If he goes to jail, can you bring a stream or can you record a jail, like when you meet somebody in jail? Is that allowed?
No, I don't think so. But you can have them call you collect, and then you can record it.
Ah, okay.
So you might
get some calls collect, and then you could stream those since he does know your number by heart.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. Again, I'm going to put this offer out there. 100% put this offer out there.
Matt will cover the fees when you call him from jail.
I will cover the fees.
When you need your one call, make it be
you don't need not even your one call. If you're just bored on a Saturday afternoon and you want to tell me about the pounding you just took in the shower, and you know, you can call and collect, and you know, I'll listen to your story. We'll live stream it, turn it into a bit of a show. I'll play sound effects of you saying "It's not true" over everything, and it will be okay. It will be okay. It'll be good times.
Really sounds like jail's the best option here.
Let's see here. John says if he goes to jail, there will be hella content. I don't know if there will be hella content because the shit will effectively be, he won't be doing anything. The last time he went to jail, he coordinated through Nora. So Nora would be using his account. She would be tweeting from his account. And
whenever you get that deal set up with Faith, you know, here's the login to the website. Make sure you post some blog posts about my life in jail.
But you know, if that happened and he gave her like the passwords, like he would never get any of that back. Oh, no. Like he would never get any of it back. Like Nora is at least intelligent. You know, she's going to like, you know, to be a nurse or some shit.
Stable. You know, she was going to be a doctor or something, right?
She's like a nurse or some shit. Yeah. So she's at least mentally stable. Faith is like, I was going to go to community college. So, you know, oh yeah, there you go. T-Clip said would put text to speech on. 8 speech, another $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. We can just holler over each other all day. Rah, 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 rah. Exactly. Well, all right, man. Hey, I'm gonna let you go, Xander, because I'm gonna take a couple quick last calls. Try to wrap this up in the next like 25 minutes or so.
How's your cat, by the way?
I took him in this morning. Yeah, I took him in this morning. It was really weird because I couldn't go in with him to the vet. They came out to the car. They got him. They took him in.
Kind of like when Faith had to go to the emergency room. Go in.
Yeah. But you know what though? I stayed there and I waited by my phone. And when the doctors called me, I answered. And when the cat wanted to talk to me, I was outside waiting to take the cat home.
That's great. That's okay. Glad the cat's good.
Yeah, I had to do blood work just to double check because he's a 13-year-old cat. So he's a 13-year-old cat, and he had gallbladder stones about 3 years ago. Actually, this month, 3 years ago. Which thankfully I was able to crowdfund that through the fans I had at the time. So very thankful for that to save his life.
Gone on to live 3 more years.
3 more years. And the thing is, like, it might be a return of his diabetes. He had diabetes before, but he beat it. Cats can beat. Did you know cats can beat diabetes?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, cats. We put them on insulin for a month. Fine. You know what I mean? Done.
Here, diabetic gone.
Diabetes gone. Like me, I'm on fucking metformin every single day, you know, but like my cat, 1 month, done.
The cat's like, fucking man up, pussy.
I know. He's like, I got 9 lives. I use one of them to get rid of diabetes. Fucking Wilford Brimley cat over here. But no, he's doing okay. He was a bit lethargic, but now he's got more energy. He goes on walks with us when we take the girls for a walk in the morning.
Or does he just walk with you?
He walks with us. Yeah, he walks with us. Like, well, because we have like side streets alongside the property and that go down to the neighbors' houses, and they go down in pretty decent ways, and we'll go walking with them. I mean, when the cat came from my girlfriend's previous relationship. It was like her previous fiance had got the cat, and when they broke up, he left the cat, and then I became the cat's new daddy, Chance's new daddy when I got with her, you know. And so like I'm like, I'll never leave you, boy, because I'm loyal to my animals. And, but no, even back then she lived next to a high school, and we would go walk around the track at night, and he would just come with us and walk around the track. This cat. No, I've seen this cat charge a deer, like an elk. An elk was in my yard.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause I live in the woods. So an elk came to my yard, and I think it's a majestic thing looking at a deer. I think they're gorgeous. I love looking at them. But my cat just gets on the deck.
Hell no, it's my fucking deer.
He's like, get the fuck off my property. And he just fucking charges at this full size elk, like a 6-point buck. You know what I mean? Just charges at this fucker. And I'm like, oh, you're going to fucking die. And that elk went peace and just bolted off my property. The deer barely come out. If he's outside, the deer don't come out. Now the raccoons, on the other hand, they don't give a shit. Like, they don't care. He doesn't care about the raccoons either. Like, they don't fuck with him. He doesn't fuck with them. But like, they're not afraid of nothing. Not even afraid of humans. That's what's scary. Is I try to get the raccoons off my back porch when I leave food out for the cats. Oh, and one of them looks like Rocket Raccoon, And like he'll even crawl underneath like the gate, and he'll poke his head underneath the gate and just look at me like with like those big black eyes that just with like that sad, pathetic look on his face. And I'm like, you motherfucker, you look like you want me to pet you, but I don't want rabies.
Yeah, weird fucking animals you got around there.
Yeah, well, forest, man. I got a bear and there's a cougar nearby and everything. So it's
All right.
yeah, it's I live with the animals. I just want to grow pot and fucking be left alone. So all right, well, hey, thanks for coming on in. I really appreciate it. And
No
we'll
problem.
talk again soon, all right, buddy?
All right, see ya.
Thanks a lot, Xander. All right, Dispatch, everyone, check out Dispatch. Bitwave.tv. I'll plug his channel, I'll plug his website. He does streaming. And he's trying to get some watch time, I guess. All right, so let's see, about maybe another 20 minutes. There's the link to get on in. Real quick, Lexi, my cat's name is Chance, otherwise known as Mundane Cat. And there we go on that one. All right, Shidoko, what's going on, buddy?
Hey there, Matt. What's up?
No, not too much. So what's your thoughts about all this gibberish tonight?
I'm just gonna be straight up honest. I really am not following what's going on. / don't really care, honestly. Like I just got many other things in my life right now. I
understand
really
that,
follow
and
it.
that is the right
Yeah.
answer. That is the right answer.
Honestly, yeah. I'll also be honest. I'm somewhat a little under the weather, so I wanted to also just talk about maybe something a little more wholesome. Change the mood a little.
All right. Yeah, let's change it up a bit, a little bit more wholesome.
Yeah. So I think one thing I am appreciating more, at least about this pandemic, is that over the last few weeks, I've actually been seeing the Marvel movies, the MCU movies, with my father, on TV, like they show reruns and stuff like that. And, that's one thing I actually talked about with him. Like, yeah, ever since streaming and everything, just life is busy. I never really get the chance anymore to just sit down and just watch a movie on TV, commercials and everything. So I've done it with him. And, he doesn't really know much about the MCU at all. He knows of it, but just not the details. So it's fun, just watching with him. I watched Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Black Panther. Well, they had everyone because Chadwick Boseman. Spider-Man Homecoming this past weekend. It's been just fun, like rewatching some of these movies, some of them for the first time, and just kind of explaining him the stuff that's been going on, why this is for this reason, and how it all connects. It's just a fun time. I do enjoy that.
That's good, man. Yeah, I have not been watching as much as I'd like to watch. I keep meaning to like sit down and watch Mulan. Haven't done it, but I did. But I did watch Zootopia with my kids today, and it dawned on me that Zootopia is probably my favorite Disney animated movie because it's like I love Zootopia. I do. I fucking love Zootopia. And the reason why I love Zootopia is because you could actually imagine that movie as a hard R detective noir story, and it would work. And it would work. They took a hardcore story and they literally turned it into a kids film. But you could take that same script and add a little bit more like violence and pizzazz, and it would have the same level of impact.
I've never thought about it like that, honestly. Huh.
It's also hysterical because that movie is also pro-cop but anti-racist.
I know.
Right? And so it's like how do you work with that when it comes to people? It's just I love it.
Yeah, personally, I would say I'll have to rank Wreck-It Ralph up there for best Disney animated movie for me. Because gamer right here, so I like it, and also the script, Ralph's character arc in there and stuff like that. Have not seen the sequel yet. I should make time for that probably.
I think a lot of people out there would tell you, definitely don't see the sequel. I actually enjoy the sequel a lot more now than I did when I first saw it. And that's just because I prefer the original 100%. But the sequel is not terrible in my mind. I think it's a good sequel, but it also shows you that they need people you can't have Reddit write a movie like that. And I feel like Reddit kind of wrote a movie, kind of wrote the sequel. I would prefer it if they would have gotten someone with a bit more. It's Disney, so they're not going to go for more bite. They're not going to go for more bite by any stretch of the imagination. But it's it's fun. They could have done a bit more with it, but it's I don't know. I mean, my kids like it, so we'll watch Wreck-It Ralph 1, and then we'll do Ralph Breaks the Internet. And with kids in a pandemic, I have seen every Disney animated movie a lot. Like my daughter is now really into Bolt. And
I
I
remember
I
Bolt.
tried rewatching it the first time and I was like, oh God, I remember this being so much better. And then by like the 8th time she watched it, I was like, oh, okay, I forgot I did like this movie. Son of a bitch. But it's really like, I mean, I've watched the Toy Stories a couple hundred times. I've Monsters movies a couple hundred times. Onward, fucking the Finding Nemos. We don't do Frozen in the household though.
Good,
Because like
good.
my kids
I
don't
think
like
that's
it. My kids don't like it. And both my girlfriend and I fucking hate it.
I'd
I've
say that's a good
tried.
call.
I can't do it. I tried watching Frozen 2 when it went to Disney Plus, and I was all like, no, I'm good.
Damn. Yeah, I do have Disney Plus. Should probably show my, well, I take care of my younger siblings, a majority of the time, honestly, and might show them that. At least I prefer to show them PBS Kids, like on I guess the free channels, at least
Yeah.
something a little more educational. Yeah.
How old are they? How old are they?
One's 7 and one's or almost 3.
Oh, okay. The 3-year-old would like Little Baby Bum. I know that's a weird name. Or
What?
Cocomelon. Yeah, Little Baby Bum. I'm not kidding you. It's music, rhymes, and songs. That's all it is, right? You can go on
Mm.
YouTube and find like 10-hour like compilation videos of it. My daughter, both my kids love them. Like my girlfriend hates them, but my kids love them. And I put them on for them, like them and Cocomelon. They just do like, 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed, like that kind of stuff, like the
Okay.
nursery rhymes. That's what
I
they do.
see.
But they're colorful and they're bright. And my daughter is picking up, we work with her on her numbers. She's 2.5. She's learning to count. She can identify numbers really well. Yesterday she's holding this little square, like it's a little toy, and there's like a number 4 on it, and she's all like holds up, she's all like 4. So I mean, she's 2.5 and she's recognizing numbers. And a lot of that comes from watching this stuff and singing along and doing because you learn through repetition. So I think
Mm.
like, you don't need to sit there and show it to them 24/7, but it helps out if it's something that you want that's going to engage with them. As much as I enjoy watching Pixar movies and the story's really good, you're not getting that kind of engagement with it,
Yeah, and I doubt they'll pick up the subtle messaging,
Yeah.
especially at that young of an age.
But what's funny is my daughter's now in the stage of mimicking things. So it's like there's a show called Fancy Nancy on Disney Plus. It's like a computer show. It's like a CGI animated show about a 6-year-old girl named Nancy Clancy who's a Frenchophile, right? Who's like really into French culture. She wants to be everything's fancy and Les Magnifiques and that kind of stuff. And my daughter fucking loves it. She fucking loves that show.
Well,
And so I turn on and it's got a catchy opening song, right? And so I'll turn it on for her, and you'll hear the opening tune, and it's all like Fancy Nancy, right? And then she just runs over to the TV. She starts dancing and she's singing along, and she's 2.5. So she's mimicking these things that she is seeing now. She's mimicking all these things, and so it's pretty cool.
and then that's adorable, honestly. Yeah, what's it called? At least with my siblings, I put their little tablets, the PBS Kids app and stuff. One thing that does worry me is that I don't want them to get addicted to, that I've heard these things like, yeah, especially at a young age, you give them electronics, like this little child, even the 2-year-old, he's figuring out some stuff on the phone that I even think he would even figure out. So yeah, that's the thing that somewhat worries me. I don't want him to get too addicted because, well, it's a new age, though. I gotta also realize that. And I don't know how you're taking it as a father. New age, like the internet, like electronics, like everything is all out there now. So it's very different than how you
Yeah.
or I ever growed up.
When I was a kid, I had a black and white television set in my room.
Damn.
I didn't have cable TV, so I'd have to go to my friend's house if I wanted to watch Nickelodeon.
Mm.
I had the standard bunny ears, and I had to adjust them to get a good reception to watch Fox and to watch The Simpsons and everything. We had
Don't worry,
dial-up
same.
internet, and it wasn't until I moved to San Diego in the end of '99, and we get to our new house, and my stepdad's like, "Oh yeah, so we're getting cable." I'm like, "Oh, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're getting cable." I'm like, I mean, like cable. He's like, "Yeah, we're getting everything." All your, not like, cable channels, not like none of the premium shit. But then he's like, "But we're getting cable internet." And I'm like, "What's cable internet?" And he's like, "It's high speed." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And he's all, "It's faster than a dial-up modem." And I'm all like, "Fuck yeah." And then that blew my mind the first time I got on there, and the first time I got my hands on cable internet. because I was 17 years old at the time. So what did I do? I immediately went to go look up adult content.
I had a
Like
feeling
how
you were
is
gonna say
like
that.
how is this gonna like how fast will those pictures load? Because this was 1999, so you didn't really have access to like the video stuff. It wasn't as easy as it was, now. And then so back then I was like, but then there was like Napster, and even before Napster, there was another MP3 download site that I would go to. And then I remember one night thinking to myself, like, I've heard rumors that you can download movies from the internet. And then I went and I looked like how to do it. And I found like that's what opened my eyes to like IRC chat and ICQ and getting into like the Usenet stuff and like opening up my entire world for like what is where people go to get all of this shit and like where to put all this to the test, because I remember when I wanted to download a demo of a game from happypuppy.com, which was the premier game demo website back in the 90s. A 60 megabyte demo would take 8 hours to download.
Wow.
And then you have cable internet and it's like, I don't know, 5 minutes back then.
Oh wow.
So it's just done and you have it. And then learning about like how to download certain things like movies, and where to get them from. You'd get them super quick because it would be all peer-to-peer networking back then. And it was crazy shit, dude. It was crazy stuff. And now it's all like, we're talking, I think my computer right now on a wireless connection is rocking 250 megabytes down.
Wow, man.
It's insane where we've come in 20 years and where we'll be in 20 years,
It's we're already
crazy.
talking about 5G and certain conspiracy theories and
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, there's all that shit. And that's of course once we once the Gunt saga is beyond us and Boulder Talk Radio moves into new stuff, we're probably going to end up talking about a lot of that shit. I'm going to be spending probably a fair amount of time on our conspiracy on Reddit, finding articles, sourcing articles, and talking about some weird stuff because that does interest me. And I think it's fun and I want to get some people's kooky ass opinions. So on that note, I'm going to let you go, buddy. I'm going to talk with the chat for a few minutes and then wrap it up in the next 5. So, but thanks for coming on in. I appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah. Good night, man. See you,
Thanks
everyone.
a lot, Shidoko. All right, have a good one. All right, everyone. I like to try to keep this at about 2 hours. It's been a fun evening. A lot going on. Let's see. Lexi here says Charlie Hebdo republished the Muhammad cartoons. I did see that. Yeah, I did see that they were going to do that. And I have to ask the question, why? I mean, didn't like 13 people die in that shooting? And they're like a couple years later, they're like, let's republish it and see what happens. Did they put automatic turrets in their front office in case there's another attack? I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely crazy on that one. Dr. Zaya says, downloading porn JPEGs on dial-up was ruthless. Dude, yes. Because by the way, today is 9/9/20, right? So today, well, now it's midnight, so it's 9/10, but beforehand, 9/9/20, 21 years since the release of the Dreamcast. When I got the Dreamcast, I signed up for like the AT&T dial-up service that you could get with the modem on the Dreamcast to be able to surf the web because I wanted to be able to surf the web from my room using a 56.6 dial-up modem. That's what I believe that I think it was 56.6K. It might've been 128K, but I think it was 56K. But anyway, like they sent me a keyboard to use. They gave me an official Dreamcast keyboard. I might have it somewhere still around here, or it might be in San Diego. I don't know. But I used to sit there and like look up the JPEGs on my TV using the Dreamcast's web browser to try to surf porn on a dial-up back in 1999. Like it was ruthless. It was terrible. That's how bad it was. All that shit. It's crazy. It's all crazy stuff. Did I see the Dune trailer? Yeah, Euros. If you head over to $3 Theater, I have a full reaction to it. I did a trailer reaction. It's good. The sandworms. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Let's see here. All right. Harvesting viruses off of LimeWire. Man, I got lucky. I got lucky to not get viruses off of LimeWire, or Kazaa, or BearShare, I got a virus one time because I tried downloading like Battlefield 1942 from a kind of an illegitimate source. But other than that, I never really got viruses. I was very careful about that. You have to be. You have to be. 56K choo-choo rocket. Yep. What's my internet service provider? I have Comcast or Xfinity. It's the only thing that's available in my area, unfortunately. I just want them to give me motherfucking fiber, dude. But I live so remote. That's going to take decades to get out here. Dial-up porn is like 50-50. Yeah, I mean, you would finish jerking it before the image fully loaded. You'd see the boobs, you'd start, and by the time you got to the top of the pubes, from boobs to pubes, you'd be done. Because it took fucking 20 minutes. My first one was Prodigy. Oh yeah. I downloaded a lot of Prodigy back in the day because my cousin downloaded The Fat of the Land and was playing it for me on Winamp. He was playing it for me on Winamp way back when, and I was all like, "Yeah, smack my bitch up." All that shit. I miss all that crap. This Doom trailer looks like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. What do you mean? I don't know, man. It looks pretty good. I think the Dune trailer looks pretty badass. Let's see here. Your ISP is Spectrum. You have 200 megabits, but it doesn't feel like it. Yeah. I mean, I have a fast speed because there's not a lot of where I'm at. Like, because you share the connection with other people in your area, right? Where I'm at, a lot of these people can't get cable because they live further back and they have to dig the trench, and they're not going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to dig the underground trench to get the cable. So, so I just get a lot of the speeds, especially right now. Oh, you're thinking Prodigy.net. Well, fuck off. I'm thinking Prodigy, the band. Let's see. Spectrum gives me 400 at 200 prices for 40. Wow, that's pretty good, man. Fucking CenturyLink is no data limits. What I hate about Comcast is like, I pay like $90 a month and I get good speeds, but I get about 1.2 terabytes of data. And because we're home and we have kids and shit, like it ends up fucking, it ends up racking up real quick. So I got to be careful. I had to turn off 4K for streaming just because it sucks up too much data. But apparently on streaming side of things now, they did recently develop a new codec, which is going to cut 4K UHD streaming by half of the bit rate. So I'm looking forward to implementing that. And the quality loss is not going to be there. Okay, you're saying the visuals are very similar to the Star Wars trilogy. Maybe The Last Jedi, dude. Maybe The Last Jedi. I don't know, man. I see your point, though. Let's see. CompuServe will let you pay by check. And if you put in a valid routing number, it would take them a week or more to cancel the account. You did that for over a year. Nice. I remember, you could fuck with CompuServe. Remember Net Zero and getting like the free internet? That's actually what I did when I moved to San Diego and I wanted to play multiplayer gaming on the Dreamcast. I created a Net Zero account and I would log in through that. And then I would run this like 40-foot phone cable from my Dreamcast, like out, it'd be out my room. And there was this random like phone jack, like on this wall in like the living room area, not the family room, but the living room. And I would just run it in there and I'd plug it in. And then I would just, like I would be playing. And then when I got the Xbox and I wanted to play, I got one of those network extenders on eBay for like $50, and I hooked that into my router and I ran it like all the way through, and got it to my room. And I was able to play, relatively easily. Now it's, it's all built in. It's a lot easier. So it's great. The Dreamcast Sonic was sick. Fuck yeah, it was, dude. Fuck yeah, it was. That's good stuff. Let's see. Why did the internet have to ruin Sonic? Well, that's like, why does the internet have to ruin everything? Two reasons. Really just one reason, because it can. I think that's where it's at, but it only really matters if you let it get ruined, if you let it get destroyed. That's clearly where things are. All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up because I'm going to try to get a little bit more work done. I need to review some movies. I need to review some 4K discs because I'm trying to get into the 4K racket. So generally speaking, any donations I get from this right now, and I appreciate everyone who's supported the channel, is all going to go back into buying 4K movies to review them for $3 Theater, because I'm trying to get into like discussing more movies and reviewing discs and getting back into my love of films, to really re-tapping into my love of films. And of course, doing all this shit. And you guys are great. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you for being here again. I know some of you are here reluctantly because you want to hear me shit on the Gunt. I get that. Some people out there claim that I'm just riding this wave or whatever. Like, here's the deal. I think the Boulder Talk Radio theme is good. I enjoy doing it. If Ralph wasn't an issue, I would still do it. 10 people, 100 people, I don't care. I just want to have a conversation. That's where I'm personally at. So as always, thank you. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. Have yourself a great night. Join the Discord if you haven't already.